Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and all that good stuff. Once again, welcome to Week 10 of the NFL football season. I am your man, Diddy Generation Wayne, providing you with your Eliminator Challenge, update, picks, survival, and also a chance for you to survive and advance up until Week 17 of the NFL season. On last week, we took 4 teams. We took the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Patriots, and the Packers. And we went 2-2. The pick I took was the Cowboys. Yes, we had to sweat it out, but we got the win. We survived and advanced to this week. The Raiders was a shock. I did not expect Nick Foles to throw 7 touchdown passes. Who is he, Peyton Manning? I mean, come on. Let's be for real. Nick Foles? Well, at least the Eagles have their starting quarterback. Now, the Patriots, oh, it warmed my heart. 50 double nickel, 55-31 on the Steelers. I did throw that one in there. I said, you know what? At first, I wasn't sure, but that was like the San Fran-Jacksonville pick. Just pick that game and go on to Week 10. And the shock one was the Packers. Now, when you play football, you don't take account of injuries. And when Aaron Rodgers went down on the first series of the game, that changed everything for the whole season. Now, we don't know how many weeks he's going to be out with that fractured collarbone, but my guess is it's going to be longer than 3. So, the whole NFC North has now been turned upside down because of Aaron Rodgers' injury. One player have that much effect on a whole franchise. Wow. So, if you took the Packers, which I said usually avoid division matchup because strange things happen. Now you see why I say avoid division matchups. Strange things definitely happen. Well, now that last week is over, Week 9 is in the books, let's focus on Week 10. We're going to start with tomorrow night's game. The 3-5 Redskins coming off a 30-24. And oh yes, I also forgot to say the upset special paid off again. When I did give you the Redskins to beat the Chargers, they did. Granted, it took overtime, but they got the win. They won 30-24 over the San Diego Chargers. And this week they are playing the Minnesota Vikings, who are 1-7 and coming off that heartbreaking 27-23 loss to my Eliminator pick, the Dallas Cowboys. So, in reality, if you want to use this as an Eliminator pick, I would say, sorry for the scratching, just my eyes itching. If you're using the Vikings, you're crazy. The Vikings aren't good. Redskins should win this game, but you know how I feel about road Eliminator picks. Unless it's against Jacksonville, I kind of wouldn't take it. Even the Vikings would be tempting to use the Redskins, but I would save the Redskins because they look like they're starting to get into last year's form when they rolled off 7 wins and won the division. So avoid this game as an eliminator. Okay, Vikings, Redskins on tomorrow night. Avoid it. Now let's look into Sunday's matchups. The 4-5 Philadelphia Eagles coming off the 49-20 beatdown of the Raiders, taking on the Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers at 5-3. If you had asked me at the beginning of the season would I use this as an eliminator pick, probably this would have been the time to use them. Aaron Rodgers being out is definitely now a no-no. Avoid it. Just on Rodgers, Seneca Wallace, he's a nice fill-in quarterback. He'll have a whole week to prepare. But Nick Foles throwing 7 touchdown passes against Oakland. Now, the Oakland defense is a top 10 D. That's kind of the surprising thing. The Oakland defense isn't chopped liver. That's the same defense that kind of held Kansas City in check until the fourth quarter when the Chiefs defense took over and blew the game open. So the Eagles defense is 32nd in the league. But yet Nick Foles torched, I think the Raiders, if the stats are right, is a top 10 D. So I would stay away from this game altogether. It's just, you know, the Packers now, they got to survive, I say 5 weeks without Aaron Rodgers, not 3. But I'm just going to keep it at 3. They say 3. I'm saying it's going to be longer than 3. So avoid the Packers. Next game on tap is the Jacksonville Jaguars coming off a bye at 0-8, taking on the Tennessee Titans at 4-4. Yes, I'm going with this game. I've already put in the Titans for this game as my eliminator. I do this with kind of some reservation, though. They come off a 28-21 win over the Rams. Rams have a pretty good D. It's a division game, but my other options aren't that good right now, so I have to go with the Titans. I've used up some of my good teams, and I have some teams I want to hold on to later, so this is kind of my survive and advance week. I'm just hoping that Jacksonville does not bite me this week. Bite me later when I'm not picking you against you, but just don't bite me this week. Titans should win. Also said that also with Green Bay too, and we saw what happened. So that is my eliminator pick for the week, the Titans and the Jaguars. I'm going with the Titans. That is my eliminator pick. We'll see. Next game on tap, Buffalo Bills at 3-6 taking on my hated enemy, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 2-6. Buffalo coming off a pretty good performance. 470 yards total offense against the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs, but the Chiefs defense did what they had to do and won the game. They lost 23-13, and the Pittsburgh Steelers got a double nickel courtesy of Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. I'm sorry, that's another team that I hate as well, so they kind of did me a favor. 55-31. And avoid it. I don't think Buffalo will win this game, but I wouldn't use the Steelers as an eliminator either. So, move on. Raiders 3-5, coming off that 49-20 beatdown. Now they face Eli Manning, and the 2-6 Giants coming off a bye. Now, I should have looked at this game now a little better than I did. I know the pick I picked was the Titans. But this is also a good eliminator pick this week. The Giants have 2 weeks to prepare for the Raiders, who just got torched by Nick Foles. Eli Manning should lick his chops. If Nick Foles could throw for 7 touchdown passes, Eli Manning is at least good for 3. This is my second kind of safe pick. So far, we have the Titans and the Giants as good eliminator picks this week. I feel strongly about the Giants. I don't like the Giants. I got a lot of Giant fan friends. I don't care for the Giants. But like I said last week, this is business. You're trying to win 17 weeks. So the Titans is a good pick this week. The Giants is a good pick this week. And especially the Giants coming off a bye week. So they've been rested. They should be ready. They're, believe it or not, 2.5 games out of first place in the NFC least. So you should just be good, feel good about it if you use the Giants. Now, the next game up is the St. Louis Rams at 3-6, coming off that 28-21 loss to Tennessee. Taking on the Indianapolis Colts, coming off that big 27-24 comeback win over the Houston Texans. This is a good eliminator pick as well. The Colts is right now firing on all cylinders. I've used them already, so I can't use them now. But if you haven't used the Colts this year, use them now. This should be a pretty, between a 10 to 17 point win for the Colts. Andrew Luck, like I've said, is the real deal. And right now they smell the division title. They smell a possible first round bye. And I think this is the game that they have to take care of business against a team that's not good in St. Louis. You got to smash them early, smash them up often, win this game, and prepare for next week. So right now I have 3 good picks going into the week. We have the Titans, the Giants, and the Colts. I usually give you 4. So we're going to have one more later. And the next game on tap, Seattle at 8-1, coming off that 27-24 win against Tampa Bay, which I told you last week. I said, do not take that game for the simple reason Tampa Bay had 10 days off. Seattle was on a short week. And it almost burned a lot of you if you took Seattle. You sweated it to overtime too, but you did win. That's why I said stay away from that game. I just had an uneasy feeling about that game. And yeah, when Seattle was trailing 21-7, a lot of you who had Seattle were probably going, oh, no. Luckily, the 12th man took over, and Seattle took care of business, and they won the game. They are taking on the 2-6 Atlanta Falcons, coming off a 34-10 beatdown of the Carolina Panthers. Pass. Skip it. Seattle is playing well right now. Falcons is, I'm not going to say in disarray. Injuries have hit the club. You know, losing Julio, losing Roddy White. Matt Ryan has nobody to throw to. Simple as that. So I would just skip this game as an eliminator. Now, the game that I said on last week as a Ravens fan, the Browns versus the Ravens, scared me. The Ravens, coming off a bye week, had no excuses. And the first half, they almost laid an egg until like the last 2 minutes. They lose on a Tandon Doss muffed punt return, which ended up being the difference in the game. 24-18 to Cleveland. And now they're coming home against a rested Cincinnati Bengals club who lost to Miami 22-20, but also lost Geno Atkins for the year for torn ACL. I'm saying this as a Ravens fan. Don't use him as an eliminator pick, but your season's on the line. Simple as that. You go to 3-6 in this division, and you have to play Cincinnati twice. This is a must-win for the Ravens. Straight up, I'm talking as a fan now, not as somebody who's trying to help you eliminate it. I'm talking as a fan. This is a must-win. This is your season. You lose this game, you look forward to next year. We are the defending Super Bowl champions. Until further notice, we need to act like it. This is the game. No excuses. No excuses. Must win. Period. End of discussion. Now that I got that off my chest. Next up, Detroit and Chicago. Lions 5-3 coming off a bye. And the Bears coming off that 27-20 performance against the Green Bay Packers. And yes, I am going to apologize to Josh McCown. You showed up. You balled on Monday night. You balled. I got it. I'm sorry. I apologize to Josh McCown. Having that said, stay away from this as an eliminator. Okay? Stay away. Lions coming off a bye week, 10-14, 2 weeks to prepare. Matthew Stafford balling. This game might be a shootout. And you never thought you would see the Lions going to put up points. The Bears you never sure of. But yet they scored 41. They've scored, I think, 68 points in the last 2 weeks. This could be a defense optional game. And you never thought you would ever hear Chicago Bears and defense optional in the same sentence. But stay away from it as an eliminator pick. So just avoid it. I think it's going to be a good game. But as far as eliminator purposes, as a division game, stay away. Next up is, now this could be the best game of the week. The Carolina Panthers, they've won 4 in a row and saved Ron Rivera's job, going against the 6-2 San Francisco 49ers coming off a bye week. I've already used the 49ers when they went to London. This game can be one of those defensive struggles or an offensive shootout. I don't think it's going to fall in between. Carolina and their quarterback, Cam Newton. Now, granted, look who's Carolina has beaten. Now, I admit Atlanta isn't good. They are the defending NFC South champions, but they're 2-6. They beat up on Minnesota. And I can't think of the other 2 teams that they beat. They've won 4 in a row. This team right now is a team nobody wants to play. They're getting confidence at the right time. I don't think they'll beat San Francisco. it'll come down to a field goal. But as far as an eliminator pick, nah, stay away. This is two good teams. You never want to take, especially two teams over 500. Nah, not worth it. Next game up, 2-6, Houston Texans. And we also want to send best wishes out to Gary Kubiak as you recover from that, the TIA. I think I couldn't get the actual medical term of it. They said it was a warning sign of a stroke, which lets you know that these coaches give their lives and their bodies to this job. Best wishes out to the Texan Nation, to Gary Kubiak. Hope to see you on the sideline real soon. And get well. Going up against the Arizona Cardinals at 4-4, coming off a bye week. I may give you this one too, as one of the four. Case Keenum is balling. I actually picked him up on my fantasy team last week because I had Schaub and I replaced him with Case Keenum. Dropped me like 34, 35 points on Sunday night, and Case Keenum is just one of those quarterbacks. Is a system quarterback, but if you put him in that, it's kind of like the Houston offense looks like a run and gun offense. So he kind of fits it because he played it that way at college in Houston. But the Texans right now can score points, but they can't stop anybody. The Cardinals just can't. Cardinals can score. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. I would put this as a risky pick, but it's going to be one of my four. So my four picks this week are the Titans, the Giants, the Colts, and the Cardinals. In that order. The Titans is my pick, the best pick. The Giants, because they need this game to get in, believe it or not, to stay in the division race. The Colts, I think will smoke the Rams. I think that's more of a safe pick. And the Cardinals is a risky pick, but I think you hate to use the circumstances, like I've always said, teams come together in tragedy. This is why I'm kind of like putting a warning with it. If you use it at your own risk. But it is a risky pick, but I would use the Cardinals if you haven't used them this year. Next up, the 7-1 Denver Broncos, a bye week, coming into town to take on the San Diego Chargers. Coming off of 30-24 overtime loss to the Redskins. Pass. The team that I picked last week, thank you, Dallas. Dallas Cowboys, that 27-23 win at 4-4, going against the 5-4 New Orleans Saints. And make sure I check that right. 5-4 New Orleans Saints. And pass. Drew Brees should light it up. But the Saints, I think losing to the Jets was a shock. A lot of us probably had the Saints winning in our football pools, not necessarily our survivor pools, but our football pools. I know I was one of them. But losing to the Jets derails your hopes, and now you're basically in a dogfight with Carolina for the division lead, and also in the hunt for the wild card. So the Saints need this game. They will win this game. As Stephen A. Smith said with Tony Romo, an accident waiting to happen. But thankfully that accident didn't occur last week when I had picked them in my Eliminator poll. So, and the Monday night game, ESPN is probably shooting themselves. They probably have to think of, how do you hype this game? Now, the Miami Dolphins, with everything they're going through, playing on Monday Night Football, is going to be a boom for ESPN ratings. They want to see how this team going to go after the Richie Incognito and the Martin situation. That's going to be like everything ESPN, like, thank you for the ratings, because if they had to promote this game, Miami and Tampa Bay, I don't know how much you can promote. But the Dolphins at 4-4, coming off a 22-20 win over Cincinnati, going against Tampa Bay, coming off at 0-8, coming off a 27-24 loss to Seattle. And I'm going to keep it real. Schiano is not going to make it through the season. If he does make it through the season, he will be fired the day after the season. Let's just keep it real. He's gone. 0-8, it's unacceptable. And as an eliminated pick for the Dolphins, I use it with reservation, but I wouldn't use it. It's just too many things right now with that team and with the way things are. And maybe some of their focus will be kind of be taken away because of this Incognito Martin situation. I feel bad really more for Martin, but Incognito also, I mean, my thought on Martin is simple. I mean, I don't appreciate if somebody called me the N-word. I get it. But at the same time, you got to man up. I mean, you both the same size. I mean, you do. I mean, the only way you beat up on a bully is you beat the bully down. Once you beat the bully, it's like they all say, all it takes is one good butt whipping. One good butt whipping, and they leave you alone. And that's all it takes. So, Monday night, pass it, but it will be must-see TV because we always know Ryan Tannehill. The Dolphins started off strong, had a little slide, and saved their season beating Cincinnati. The Buccaneers season is over. They're just playing to see who's going to be there next year because we know the coach ain't going to be there next year. So, with that, I'm giving you my 4 once again. It is the Titans, Giants, Colts, and the Cardinals. Hit me up on Twitter at capital THE, capital FRNCHSE, capital PLAYA on Twitter. On Eliminator Challenge, it's D-Generation Wayne. On Facebook, it's Wayne M. Shorter. I love y'all. See y'all for week 11. Surviving the best. Peace.